Jay, you and I, when we think about aligning corporate culture with the structure and putting together compelling benefit packages, what have you seen? We have our own ecosystem, we have our own things that navigate, but what have you seen when it comes to bringing those positive employee experiences that we talked about earlier, kind of the embracing change in the last couple of years?
Obviously, mental health has been top of mind for everybody. And
rightfully so.
Rightfully so, absolutely. I think everybody's got to have some sort of way to take advantage of the benefits that are already there or start looking at other benefits to help augment that. But what I've been seeing most recently on top of that is a focus on, it's kind of hard to explain like a benefit, but a focus on your people, a focus on your culture. And I hear that word a lot, focus on culture. But what does it really mean? It means sort of understanding individual people, understanding their personality, understanding what motivates them, training our people to respect each other, to have some empathy, training our managers to think differently. That, yeah, we've got to get a result out of that, but the best way to get those results, those business results, is to focus on the people and let them do what they need to do first.
So listen to them.
A little bit of listening goes an awful long way. So mental health isn't going anywhere. Physical health isn't going anywhere. But I think the latest trend that everybody should be paying attention to is a focus on the person, the individual.
And that individual, and Todd, I think this is where the three of us, we could probably talk for an hour on this, but we think about well-being and designing programs and helping folks, that personalization, it just has to be a must. We're evolving to the hyper-personalization of health and well-being, while also being efficient in good stewards of our budgets.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit more about, like, on the personalization side of things, what you're seeing at Lockton and what you guys do there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, our goal kind of before COVID, during COVID, and now after COVID is, when you have situations like COVID, which are extremely unfortunate, there's always lessons to be learned, right? And we've done a lot of debriefing, over the last year or so as we start to come out of the pandemic as to why were certain companies, either ourselves or other companies that we work with, why were some successful and actually thrive during the pandemic? And why did some, really struggle? And some are just straight up economic things. And it wouldn't really matter how well defined your culture is or not. I mean, there's just certain pressures that didn't really help out a lot of groups. But the groups in aggregate that we saw perform very well were the ones that had really solid, sustainable cultures and had hired really good people that had the same values, right? In those organizations. And I, obviously biased, but I think Lockton is one of those organizations that actually thrived and performed really well during COVID because we have had such an emphasis on the well-being of our associates. And, a lot of times organizations try to make things overly complicated. And that's one of the things I value the most about Lockton is, we take care of our clients, we take care of our associates, and we take care of our communities, right? If we do those three things really, really well,
solid.
Guess what? Everything else seems to work out.
Seems to work out.
Right?
Yeah.
All the other stuff is just details or whatever. So, and the thing that we found is that other organizations that have that same approach and have had that approach since their inception, those companies actually thrived during COVID, that they could really empower their associates to do whatever they needed to do to take care of their families, take care of their communities, and ultimately take care of our clients, right? So, which was really challenging during that time frame, but we gave our associates a ton of flexibility and said, hey, this is totally new, but we've hired you, we've trained you, we've put you in the best position possible, in our opinion, to do what you've always done best. Let's go do it. And fortunately, we've grown double digits, during the pandemic, and no signs of slowing down. So
stayed private too.
And we've stayed private. Absolutely. Yeah. So, a big part of then what we've seen are those organizations who may not have been as culturally focused, right? Historically, they have done similar analysis and said, hey, how come we're getting beat by potentially some of these other companies? And I think they're finding the same thing. So if they weren't already investing in the well-being of their associates, they're doubling down on that now because they realize that it's inevitable we'll have another something pop up, right? And the longer we wait to invest in our associates, the more risk we place on our business. So we've definitely seen a much higher focus from some groups. historically that may have not wanted to invest there. And we've also won a lot of new business because we can speak to that very, very well, not only from our own experience, but from what we've seen other companies do.